Welcome back to the EULCS playoffs, where Misfits are in a very tough position after losing the first 2 games to Splyce. They are fighting for a spot in the finals in Hamburg. And guys, if you want in on the action, be sure to check out eu.lolesports.com for more information on how you can get tickets, figure out which one of these teams can take it here. Maybe this game, maybe next game. Guys, is it time? Is it the Misfits comeback?
And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do after the show, because I want in on that action. Sounds like a very fun event. Pristine German city, top 4 teams in Europe, 2 days, lots of League of Legends action, fans shouting.
Dracos will be there.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to meet that handsome devil. But also, we have some great League of Legends there too, which is going to be the...
No, I'm there for Dracos.
Yeah.
Crap, but you're not supposed to share. They're not supposed to know. It's our secret.
Yeah.
He can't go anywhere without his best gym buddy.
Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen...
Somebody feels a little alienated here. Feeling a little tension, guys.
I'm just saying, right?
I'm just saying, go to the gym. And pay attention, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time to get into picks and bans for Game 3. Splyce taking the lead sin away, the Elise to follow, and looking very similar to that Game 1 pick and ban.
Wait, let me guess.
Identical.
Camille. Oh! Right in there.
Oriana.
That's a bold prediction, I feel.
A bold prediction?
Nah, it was on the money.
Wow, I think I'm done here, guys. You clearly bested me in pick and ban analysis.
It feels like that for the bans so far, things have very much stayed the same. I mean, for Splyce, they don't need to change anything, right? They've had a pretty consistent draft phase throughout the series, and Misfits, they're going back to what they did in Game 1, taking the Malzahar off the board. Now you're looking at another Graves first rotation.
Because it's really hard for Misfits here, because if you ban Graves last to force Splyce to maybe first pick Rengar, they're going to be like, you know what, we trade Rengar versus Kha'Zix, we don't care, we're going to pick Malzahar first. And that's what they learned last game. Misfits, they try to be tricky last game to get the Rengar for free, and then they realize, you know what, Rengar into Kha'Zix is actually a fine matchup, and now Kakao has to start digging because he doesn't want to play Rengar 3 games in a row.
Has not been the most impactful pick for the team. Seems like they're not ready to play the compositions that they've been picking up, and it's worrying that they're running the same pick ban from Game 1 because it was a game that went so heartily against them. However, they are opting for the Syndra here, and that is a good start for PoE.
I like this a lot. We talked about it in Game 2, where with the Oriana taken off the board, Syndra becomes a much safer blind pick. In Game 2, Paravival picked the Cassio into it, didn't have the best of times, but now you're guaranteed a powerful mid lane matchup for Paravival.
Yes, and then in the last rotation, you can also maybe pick a strong AD carry or something on the bottom lane here. Splyce, they did not want to get squeezed here in that AD carry pool, so they're technically a flex too. But they're definitely putting a lot of priority on the side lanes, and they immediately match Syndra versus Ahri. You know what? We want this matchup. We're confident playing it. We do not want to lose and give all the pressure to Paravival, because that is the catalyst for the Misfits mid-game. PoE winning and roaming, and he's been shut down every single game so far.
Now has the tools to set himself up, but Splyce, they're keeping some things a mystery. They've got the Kennen, they've got the flex pick. They can keep Misfits on the back foot. Keep them guessing on where they need to ban. Is it the AD carry role that they want to pinch? Is it the top lane? Where will their attention go?
I feel like you put your focus on supports, because bear in mind you have the first rotation on the second half, so you could actually just ban away the Zyra and maybe even the Karma, and then look to get something a little bit more powerful. Maybe a Thresh for Ignite. He has brought it out during the regular season. Tom Kench could also be another priority.
Yeah, the problem is that Fiddlesticks was actually pretty nasty to play against, and it fits a similar role there. So Misfits may actually go Zyra Fiddlesticks as an adaptation here. Splyce, they're upping the value of AD Kennen right now by banning out any AD carries, and then they can still technically flex it.
And it's a great point that you mentioned, because I had a chat with Alfari a few days ago, and he talked about teams having a lot more value on this Kennen pick because of how well you can flex it. And you can see the difficulty that Misfits are in right now, because Kennen can do very nicely into the Shen, but also can work very evenly as an AD carry too.
And how rare is it that a team leaves both their bot lane picks for the last rotation here? I don't think we see that very often. Even Splyce technically doing it with the flex option enabled. This makes a lot more sense.
So often we see those 80 carries locked in the first rotation on red side, or at least in the first pick phase. But Bard, Zyra going to be the bans away. Ashe, Caitlyn potentially answers to the 80 Kennen, potentially not.
So peculiar to see that Bard ban out here.
Yeah, it's a Mickey pick from last season, from last summer. It was a pick that he was, of course, incredibly successful on, but one that has been almost entirely locked out of the meta in recent weeks.
Karma, perhaps, here? I feel like it would be pretty safe, but no, they're going to take the gamble.
I think they need the lane win, and they say, you know what, we're going to play on 2 lanes, mid and bot. Shen is going to ulti in, and we need the strong lanes, because Rengar gets shut down when you have losing matchups, and we saw Kakao could not thrive, so they're just opting for a strong lane pick. But this is a pick that Mickey himself plays incredibly well, so he knows the ins and outs. And this guy, he's not afraid, especially when he's 2-0 up, to just move in front of Ignar and give him the 50-50 and be like, I'm just going to juke your hook.
And look at the confidence coming in. Hovers the Braum pick. I feel like almost just to tell Misfits, hey, anything you can do, we can do better. Don't opt for it in the end. They take the Gragas.
Bear in mind, that is also another flex pick. This could still move into the support role. I do believe it was Mickey that has brought this out in the past.
I want to see just an AP push support. Karma or... That's not going to be Cyan, guys. He's trolling you.
He's trolling.
It's going to be Karma or maybe the Brand here. I think is a better option, but they do lack a little bit of frontline.
Oh no! Ladies and
interesting.
gentlemen, this is the most, I can't imagine a more disrespectful thing to do to opponent. Yes, maybe it's analytically correct, Crepo, I will let you talk about it, but this is the bot lane that fell apart for Misfits in game 1, and Splyce are picking it up here in what could very well be a 3-0.
I mean, we have to look at why Karma would make sense, because if you just push in the Thresh, it's much harder for him to find hook opportunities, but Mickey and Kobe are just saying, you know what, we're going to brawl against you. Kalista sounds really nice, and he actually looks into, oh, there's so much to talk about these bot lanes. There's so many, like, ways to look at this.
Give it to me for a second, because we've seen this matchup before. We've seen the Kalista into the Kennen, and it was Sven, and it was versus Reckless. And Reckless on the Kennen, it dominated the lane.
That is the problem, because Thresh Kalista is such a... Like, it's such a staple bot lane combination. It's really fun to play with the changes to E. There's a lot of outplay potential you can do. You need to play versus a melee support because otherwise you lose the push too hard. So that's all right. But Kennen is just such a good lane champion into specifically Kalista.
Tough spot for Misfits to be. They back away. This is their backs in the corner. This is the last pick and ban. They may get to play. They may get another chance. They're going back to something special. They're trying to get the stronger lanes. We're going to have to see if it'll work out here.
So when we look at the lanes, again, Misfits up in this top lane, they're going to lose out on the push. It's very similar to what we saw in game 1. The Gragas for Wonder into the Shen will naturally give him that priority. In the middle lane, Power of Evil should have control over Ahri during the early stages. Her wave cutter is not as strong as you would expect. And I feel like that when you have one pushing lane for Splyce and top, one pushing lane for Misfits, a lot is going to ride on the success of the bottom lane for both these teams.
The last chance here, if you want to participate. We want to see where your hearts lie. Are you loyal to the Misfits? Do you believe in the reverse sweep? Can they come back? Hashtag MSF win. Or if you think it's going to be the quick, the easy 3-0 for Splyce, hashtag SPY win. So we move to match point for Splyce.
Do love me some Kalista though. I just can't keep looking at Thresh Kalista is such a hype matchup. We're going into game 3 here, heading on to the Rift. The changes to the Kalista Rend change their lane pattern so much right now because you can never see when Rend is on cooldown. If it's missed on the creep, the spears used to disappear. The crowd loves this as much as I do. Heading into game.
As excited as they are about the Kalista, I think they're more excited about game 3. Pressure mounting for the side of Misfits. Let's see what they can do with their backs up against the wall.
Remember that Splyce are 2-0 up in this series. One more game win will secure themselves a spot to Hamburg. And Misfits' answer is this Kalista Thresh bottom lane. Crepo's excited. I'm excited. The crowd is all excited. And I'm looking forward to seeing how things play out in favor of Misfits.
Alright, early push is really fun to track on this lane. Braum can kind of suffer. So if they can get in there early, it helps. Thresh Kalista spike really hard on level 3. Because you get access to the Q where you can extend. Why are you smiling, Drakeless? You're like looking at this Braum pick?
Okay, well the Braum one, I haven't seen that yet, the new chroma. Additionally, I love it when you move, there's a small wrapper obscuring the bottom lane, and when you move it out of the way just to look at bot lane, I'm like, well, he's in his element. Look at him go.
Generally need to see the screen to analyze. No, but this lane spikes really hard on level 3 because you get the Lantern in case you have a bad trade, and you get both Q, E, and W from Kalista. And that initial proc % damage from the W passive is so instrumental. You can harass through creeps by spearing through, getting some Rend stacks on people. It's now impossible to track whether Rend's on cooldown or not if somebody screws it up. And it's so sustaining to use it constantly too. Such a satisfying lane to watch.
It's often pretty difficult though to play the Thresh into the Braum, especially when you throw up that shield early on. It means that it also gives a lot of freedom to the Kennen to be able to trade aggressively onto the Kalista, and usually early trading patterns can go in his favor thanks to the base damages on a lot of his skills.
Yeah, the way you go around that is just basically you autoplay Braum backwards and you poke him out until there's no more pots. You gotta go through him first because he will always start blocking projectiles.
For now, level 1 though, it's all about the push, not about trading health, just about pushing out on these minions.
But you see Misfits, they're yielding the push, to secure a ward very late on their blue buff. They do not want Trashy to do Raptors into red into enemy blue. Uncontested here, because Kakao, he changed his path too. He did Raptors into red, and now he's switching over to side here. But this does leave Splyce with the push, because Misfits could have pushed the bottom lane, but they wanted this ward in particular to really shadow Kakao and make sure he gets his blue buff this game.
We'll have that information, but Trashy's coming in. Kakao not healthy enough to really fight this one out. Will he stick around? Vision just traded back and forth.
Look at the movement of the bottom lane from Misfits. They're prepared for this.
Yeah. And Mickey cannot pop that blast going over the wall here, and so they sacrifice the push on this bottom lane just to get Kakao a good start in the game. And Trashy, he just wants to be annoying.
Trade's going down on the top side. We check in on the other lanes. Everything else pretty even thus far, but Trashy hungry for blood, moves forward, gets a little bit more damage down, no proc on the Storm Raider surge. Kakao takes it to safety. Really good pathing from Trashy. He realized that the bottom lane is already losing a lot, so if he can keep the pressure up inside Kakao's jungle, he knows he's going to be able to win out in that 1 versus 1. So not only will he get the flash away from the Kakao, he'll also get himself a blue buff.
And this is where the Gragas pick surprisingly has a big influence. Because if you're a Rengar and you expect your blue to be stolen like that, what do? You move into the opposing jungler. But if your top lane is so far pushed into his lane, Gragas disappears, you can't take blue buff because you'll drop really low as a jungle clearing, especially a Rengar. Wunder would just kill you. So Kakao, only choice left for him in his mind is to contest that blue buff. He could have maybe just done Wolves though, left the blue buff up and actually challenged Trashy when he came in. He tried to rush the play too much, and I think he ended up screwing himself.
The only risk you have, though, is that Kakao would have been level 2 if he'd started the blue, and given the clear speed that you have on the Graves, there's always the possibility that you then have a level 3 Graves going into level 2 Rengar, which is always
I think you do Raptors into red, into Wolves, and then you just have the ward on blue, and you spot the enemy doing it, and then you go mess with him mid-steal.
Yep.
And you just have wards protecting you anyways.
And regardless, I think the most concerning thing is that this is starting to look just like Game 1.
Yeah.
Yes, the moves are a little bit different, but the results are the same. Kakao getting bullied out of his own jungle so early on, and he's the guy that we thought, hey, maybe with a winning lane, he can make some plays. He can make a difference, but already getting shut down so early. There is a big difference in the mid lane matchup this time around, though, and while I think it's perfectly valid, the Gragas having priority top, we saw Power of Evil pushing Senkuks underneath his tower very early on and around the level 3 mark, and you would argue that you could have used Power to at least increase the chances of making that blue buff steal a possibility, but instead he decided to try and contest his own blue, ends up getting punished for it, and now this pressure that Power of Evil has been able to exert is being mitigated a lot by Trashy just coming into lane. Charm goes down, cleansed out by Power of Evil. He just has to back off, but good respect, not risking anything.
But it's on a really annoying timing, because now once Senkuks hits 6, he can do dash into E-Flash and to get a melee range charm onto Power of Evil, who has a really hard time reacting if Trashy joins with just artillery damage in the backline.
Of course, the exhaust as well for Senkuks, so no real chance to fire back either. It's going to be a rough couple of minutes for Power of Evil, at least for now. Has to play safe, has to play smart. I am surprised by the performance of Power of Evil throughout this series, because coming into it, expectations, at the very least for my expectations, were that Power of Evil would have a much higher impact throughout the entire game. One of the big picks that I am a little surprised hasn't moved towards the champions like Talia, who have really good wave clear, while into the Syndra matchup but not the strongest, allow you to move around the map more, which is what we've seen a lot from him throughout the regular season. And I feel like as an individual this series, he's literally just been playing for lane, he's been playing super passively, and he hasn't been able to really exert the same sort of influence that he has throughout the regular season. But Vetty, I think the concerning thing as we look at this graph, we look at the CS at 15. If he's playing for lane, he's still losing out in CS. Yes. He's still losing out in lane most of the time. We saw Game 1, we saw a big lead for Senkuks, and that is not where you want to be. Yeah, but we also see Splyce targeting the enemy jungler first in Kakao, which leads to a really big decrease in jungle proximity. Trashy was around Senkuks twice as much in the first 15 minutes compared to Kakao, which means it's really hard to play as a mid laner without the pressure, and that's where the CS deficit mostly came from. Also, just the Syndra pick being such a good early laner. Now we can see, though, CS going in Power of Evil. More proof to the power of Syndra in that early lane. Senkuks, despite the early support, still struggling a little bit. But in comes the Graves, down goes the exhaust. Power of Evil in trouble now. Charm goes wide. Moving for a little bit more. Power of Evil goes forward. In comes the Shen. Oh, he's ticking. But Power of Evil is still alive. Where is Shen? Got canceled. One more auto. Yes, first blood! That was the level 6 spike from Senkuks. The cleanse was down. He used the ultimate along with Trashy coming in from the jungle. He predicted the Power of Evil would go for the flash, and I can respect it.
But my word, that was a close exchange.
Oh, but there's more action on the bottom side. Mickey, spear's starting to stack. Custom Blow's getting locked up. Maybe they're looking for the turn here. Kabi now on the front line. Hansama juking and jiving back and forth. Looking for a little bit more. Exhaust is down, but will it be up enough time for the rend? It's not. Hansama grabs one back.
Both these skills are really fun to look at again and to break down. In the mid lane, there was a lot going on. It all came back to that cleanse being popped earlier. Such a big charm on level 5, because then you, as Ari, you can always all in. And you know you win out with the jungler, and Splyce, they capitalized on that moment. Here it was, honestly, a communication sync error between the Splyce bot lane. Going in and out, trying to use the exhaust way too late. Mickey felt they could all in, Kaba did not. And obviously now Misfits finally trailing ahead in the lane.
So you can see the setup. Trashy, he's already starting to move around, and again, no cleanse available for Power of Evil. That's why he tried to predict the flash out.
Yeah.
But Power of Evil thinks he can at the very least trade 1 for 1. I think that was a little bit greedy. He should have just disengaged from the fight, but he was expecting an Alfaro to be right behind him, and then Scumbag minions end up getting the kill in favor of Senko.
Yeah, really well played in here. Like, you can't do that if you're Kobe though. I don't know, man. You can't use Lightning Rush in lane like that and get out, because that leaves your support to drive. So that is a mistake from Kobe. Now this Q missing from Mickey is really big, because it means they can never get an instant stun on Hansama, and then he has to run out. QE, it's too easy then for Sama to follow. But the biggest mistake was still Kobe moving away with Lightning Rush in lane.
Of course, you saw PoE really frustrated after that kill in the mid lane. Thought he could turn it back. Thought maybe the team could turn it around, if they could find an early game advantage after so many early games so heavily in favor of Splyce. But for now, things are relatively even. The bot lane carrying their weight.
And now that Senkix has got himself that lost chapter, it really will help a lot in terms of this mid lane matchup, because now he has the experience advantage, he's going to have the push advantage too, and with the ultimate available to him, he's now the one that has the freedom to roam around the map.
Yeah, and Ignar is also looking for more plays himself. Moby Boots in lane versus Sidestone. It's like, I don't need no wards. It's like, what are these, like vision? No, I'm just going to use plays here.
Oh, knock back clean combo.
It's a new combo. You R and then you E flash. Like, you don't go E into R anymore. Super sexy. Wunder is such a great Gragas player.
And I love this focus from Splyce around the mid lane. They know the Power of Evil could be that presence that shifts the win in favor of Misfits, but they're using the high mobility on Ari. They're using the fact that Senkix was able to get this early kill, and they are constantly roaming down and utilizing their other pushing lanes to shut Power of Evil down.
Yeah, Misfits, they're all in on this bot lane, right? Moby Boots Thresh, he moves into enemy jungle, and he can't put any deep arts because he only has one trinket. So there isn't actually a trade-off cost here. Look, Wunder again. Does he actually do it this time? Yeah, he does a mid-E combo to channel that out. It used to be a hit into R, but now you can channel it mid-combo. And you kind of got to guess if you're going to hit your E or not, or if they will flash.
Such a rough spot to be for PoE. He does get a kill back.
They don't have flash, they can't.
Yeah, but now he never has both summoners available at the same time. He's been so consistently focused. It's like, oh, you're either giving up a flash or you're giving up a cleanse, PoE. You're never going to have both.
All right, now the Sightstone issue has been rectified, Crepo. Ignar now has more vision control available to him. All summoner spells are up too. Cloud Drake is the main priority, and right now, given the pressure that Splyce have, not only in the top side, but in the mid as well, this could be a next objective for Splyce.
Quite surprised they don't rotate here. I feel if you're Splyce, it would be a really good moment to just send your bot lane to top lane and dive the Shen. It doesn't allow him to ulti out. I feel they may just want to funnel more farm into Wunder. They did get the push here, because they could be well on their way to top lane turret right now and actually get a good rotation on the Shen, something we've seen so often.
Taking some risks this time around. In game 1, the Shen was a non-factor. This time, have to respect the potential for the ultimate onto the bot lane. The Kalista, the Kennen, very evenly matched at this point.
Ooh, but look, here comes the Rengar ultimate. They're looking for Splyce.
Flash over from Ignar, bringing him over the wall. Hansama going aggressive. Mickey caught out, but Ignar just wants to keep the fight going. Gets the hook onto Trashy. He wants to make it a double. Trashy trying to get to safety. Collateral damage is not enough. PoE closing out the fight.
These are the kind of plays we wanted to be seeing from Misfits throughout this series. They finally make it happen, and they will claim a dragon as their reward.
Yeah, but they're about to lose first third gold on top right, unless, yeah, that's exactly why they didn't make the rotation. The turret must have already been chipped greatly from Wunder already, because there's no way he finished the full HP turret in this time frame. And even though Misfits get that play, look at the gold, guys. It's 800 gold, and there's not another turret falling, so all the advantage is being put onto Wunder here for Splyce, and they're taking the hit in the bottom side of the map.
And look in the mid lane as well. You can see Senkix, he's keeping his push up, level 10 to level 9. even further chip damage onto this tower will result in another clean objective go in the favor of Splyce.
And once again, it's those small grinding advantages. Splyce continue to try to find leads, but Wonder, he's looking for the rinse and repeat. He's looking for another play in the mid lane. Taio, just going to get knocked back as they set their sights on the tower instead.
Really swift and clean map movements from the side of Splyce. And this graphic in the bottom just exemplifies the struggling early game that Misfits have been undergoing throughout this series. Constantly at a deficit during the early game, very rarely being able to get their own objectives. We can see this engage from Misfits.
All right, so Splyce did not rotate. He gets Shen plus Rengar combo. Notice how Ignar did Flash Lantern to bring a Hansama in the fight, and then he got propelled forward. So it's a really good usage of all the tools they have in their arsenal. The problem is all the lanes are cleared out. Mid is reset wave-wise, bot lane is being held, and top lane fell. And it just shows you that if you play the style where you always want to do pushing lanes into chip damage on turrets, you can just always trade efficiently. If you lose a pick somewhere, you play on the other side of the map and you get a turret.
And it's such a tough spot to be, because now Gold's still pretty close to even, but they have to respect the potential that at any moment, if they think they found an opportunity, that it's not really there.
The right play for Misfits right now is to group up Power Evil and Kakao in the mid lane, push out, and then roam bot and see if you can get that tier 1 turret, because it's an incredibly long distance for Ahri to push out. Misfits, they could just look for another party in the bottom lane here.
Pressure continuing to move forward. Misfits setting their eyes on the bottom tier tower, setting their eyes on getting pressure back in their favor and control of the map going down. But Ignar and Kakao, they're looking to make plays. Mickey does get hooked up. Taking their time here, though, not taking any risks.
Good respect from Misfits for Ahri coming in from the flank as well. They know that Wonder has TP2. They're not entirely sure of the vision in their half of the jungle, so that possibility of a flank is very evident, but it looks like Misfits, they're going for a dive bot.
Bobby running, flashes back, trying to get as much CC down as possible, leaps forward, health bar ticks, he drops, but the TP is on the way. Wonder wants to keep the fight going.
It's Kalista!
Oh, not today, but Ignar back in! What are you doing? Down goes Ignar, in comes Alfari. But so far at the end of the fight, mistakes on the side of Misfits.
2 more seconds and then Senkux goes into the fight as well.
The Ahri is here. Where is the Spear Rush? Leaps forward, tries to get the damage down. Senkux maybe take it down though. Good turn coming in from Misfits. Splyce holding on for now, but Hansama, he's hungry for blood and it's impossible to get away from the Rengar, from the Kalista. Misfits win out.
Very back and forth fight initiated by Misfits going on to Kobe, but it looked dire after Ignar goes back into the fight. Senkux coming in from the flank, but this fight may not very well be over yet.
Alfari has the flash.
It all started with Misfits. They wanted this bot lane turret, and now they're going to get it. Like, there's no way like denying that at this point, if they're fast enough.
Oh no,
they're going for more fights.
Auto attack in, stacks up, gone he goes.
That's the problem. Splyce, they're so dead set on defending this turret. They actually had a rotation mid on mid tier 2, where they could sacrifice bot lane, Kobe could disengage. They had the inside track right there to make a second turret play and just trade. But they don't seem to be communicating. Kobe and the rest of his team are not on the same page. Look at this again. Like right now, Ahri's going mid, Gragas is already mid. They could, in about 10 seconds, be playing on that mid lane turret. The problem is, they TP in for this play. They forget they're playing against Kalista. Ignar says, thank you very much, you killed me anyways. That's a misclick. And then PoE gets a Shen ulti, and you're exactly playing into Misfits' hands. This is what they want. They want 5-man plays as a team where they can utilize Shen ulti and Kalista ulti.
But at this point, you're thinking, Splyce, this could be massive for you, but a beautiful stun from Power of Evil hits both Mickey and Senkux, nicely setting up for Hansama to be able to turn the fight around. So small mechanical advantage there gained for Power of Evil, which resulted in them winning the fight and getting a bit of an odd kill onto Mickey as he so desperately tried to defend his tower.
Look at the gold now, 16 minutes in, and it's just about dead even, despite everything else. And Misfits, only 1 tower in their name, so the kills help them bring them back more than anything else.
Now, one thing we have seen from Splyce is, I think back to their series versus G2 earlier on in the season, where when they get a lead, they know exactly what to do with it. They're very good at playing the map. We've seen that throughout this series, but sometimes they're a little bit too eager, too overzealous in their early game plays, and when they do fall behind and they give up fairly significant advantages, they actually struggle to come back, and they struggle to like reassert themselves and reposition to know how to gain control. Now that Misfits have got this nice momentum swing, I'm excited to see what they're able to do with it, and if they can force Splyce into a corner.
And they're in such a good place too, right? They have the thresh, they have the power to make the picks, to set the fights on their terms. Splyce very defensive with the Kennen Braum. It's not the AP Kennen. He's not going to feel comfortable flashing in all the time. They may be safe, but they don't get to dictate the pace anymore.
Yeah. It means so much for the series. Just that one play that just happened on the bottom lane right there. It could break the game open and essentially what was expected to be a swift 3-0, 2-1. And then momentum could be on the side of Misfits.
We talk about them being, you know, a young team. Well, maybe the losses weigh heavily on their mind, but the wins have to feel that much better when you haven't been in playoffs before. Now comes the ult from Kakao. Mickey caught up under tower. Shen moving forward. They're isolating the support. They're keeping the rest of the team out. They're focusing on one target and one target alone. Mickey, a lot of spears locking him up, taking his time. Hansama, the one who's unstoppable. The rest of the Misfits survive.
And you can see in the bottom lane, Wonder, he doesn't have the minion wave to start heading onto that tower. So Misfits, they're already ahead of a play. It is now a big momentum swing going in the favor of this Misfits unit.
And all comes from the mid lane push. If there's no reaction possible for Senkooks to trade mid lane turret, then all you will do is trade sides of the map here, and that's Misfits doing that so beneficially for them. Senkooks only just now joining. He has essentially been doing nothing for the last 35 seconds or so. Misfits with proactive plays this time.
Trades back. Splyce still hold the tower lead, but the gold remains dead even. Misfits brawling with the opposition, making these plays happen.
And
yeah.
The play was telegraphed very early on. You had the Rengar moving in. The Shen had moved back far enough into the lane, ready for him to set up for this dive. And I feel like that this is the cool, calculated Misfits that we're so used to seeing early on during this.
I think that's a great point, Vedius, you bring up there, because essentially Splyce could have walked away and just went for the even trade on the turrets, considering that Gragas was essentially proxy farming. Now we need to see if they can bring it home, though. Misfits, they've kind of let their foot off the pedal lately in the mid game. Like, they make some of these great picks, but in essence, their comp is quite telegraphed. It's always going to be the Shen engage when they group up to force a fight. We need to see if Splyce can deal with it. The problem is Splyce, they're not as comfortable scaling as well, because Kennen and Ahri both kind of fall off towards the later stages of the game.
They were winning the early game every time before this, maybe a little overconfident on their ability to do so this time around. This is a lane that failed for Misfits, the Braum, the Kennen together. And while you can say that Splyce are having a little bit of a better time of it, definitely not having the impact that they wanted. As Hansama is 5-0-2, and even if you went even in lane, it just doesn't matter anymore.
Ooh, Wonder needs to be careful of this.
Cast to safety. It's fine for now.
Now, these lane assignments are really important at this point of the game, with Baron spawning in about 10 seconds' time. You have to keep your Shen on the bottom side of the map because you want him to be able to teleport into these fights with his ultimate. You can keep Power of Evil in the mid because he can hold on to Senkooks, but without a tower, there's always that risk of a flank coming out from Splyce. Yeah,
and this time there's also Kakao, who has much more free reign. There's deep wards in him in jungle. He can go into these long lanes right now and actually try and make an effort for a pick attempt anywhere. Splyce have to be much more afraid of Kakao's ganks because his Rengar is nearly as punished as much as in game 1 or 2.
It was a pick that they went for time and time again. They looked at it every time, thought it was the right option, and it did not work out until now. But Kakao is setting the pace for these plays, even if they are telegraphed, and things looking better for Misfits here in Game 3.
And Kakao, we've been waiting a long time to see what he can do on this rank. A third time in a row in this series, he has now picked it up. A lot of question marks as to whether this is the champion for him, and so far it's been going well. But is it going to be enough in order to overthrow Splyce, as the Baron is now being set up for by both teams?
And of course, with the Baron on the table, it means vision more important than ever. For now, Misfits taking the priority, although Splyce do have the Scuttle Crab. No one taking it quite yet. There's no Mountain Drakes, no one too insane at taking it away. But you have to respect the Callista at this stage of the game.
Yeah, you got to remember Fate's Call. It's such an easy ability to forget if you don't really play against Callista very often. Right now it's being used offensively. This may actually mean if Ignar goes in, he gets popped immediately. Ooh. He's very creative with that.
Mickey running forward. Probably looking for an opportunity to go in, but there's a lot of damage on the side. Wonder not going to grab a kill. Hansama still up and alive. Hook goes in on the Wonder. He's going to get taken out very quickly. Or not, as the Gragas still manages to hold on. Kennen ult used defensively. Misfits on the front lines. Not going to pull the trigger. Not going to move further.
Yeah, not quite certain about these engages from the Splyce boys here. Very reactive Q flash here from Mickey, but even then, you really want that to hit.
You're also just at the point, we all remember this point. Remember when Callista was picked every game and she got to 3 items and you can't kill her because she has so much lifesteal and so much mobility? We're not there yet, but we're very quickly approaching that point.
That's when she's the most fun, though. That's when she really can fully utilize her passive, and she's super exciting to watch as well. Her impact in these team fights can be monumental, I think Splyce, they're sniffing out a possible Misfits waiting in the brush. But that whole engage, as you rightly said, Crepo, is a little bit haphazard. Started off with Ignar being like, I want to go in, but I don't want to go in. And so he takes a creative path with his ultimate, and that it results in baiting Wonder into a fight. He then goes off onto the backside by himself.
I was just doing caster lingo, by the way. When I said creative.
Have you considered American politics? Creative.
But look,
choices.
But keep your eye on this, right? So you can see
Why
Ignar
would he
goes off
go
on the
there?
side. Now, Wonder feels that he can engage onto the two carries, but who's going to follow Wonder, right? You'd expect maybe Senkix can follow him up on this, especially with the ultimate god for Power of Evil. He gets stunned up into a fantastic
Yeah,
taunt
but
from
if he didn't
Alphari.
fail his ulti, he would have just tossed one of these carries straight into a charm.
Yep.
That would have been a good kill. So that's execution error. So in the end, Misfits still, they walk away with their life. It's great hooks from Ignar. I think he actually threw himself at a soul. I think he actually picked up a soul right there from a dying creep or something, because...
So what you're saying is hashtag word.
Yeah, get the armor. I'm the AP, you know? Gotta keep scaling. So it was very greedy.
Thresh, the real late game carry here.
Yeah.
Just keep stacking the armor. Splyce, though, not too concerned despite the fight not going against him. Still doing their best to control the vision. And we'll have the advantage in future fights. Ignar flash down, Power of Evil flash down, two major playmakers and a source of damage that may not be able to engage.
Yeah, but you still have the ability to play Thresh super far in the front line. That's why I think with Kalista is one of the few times you'll see this pick come out. Because Thresh gets so punished if he attempts a hook and misses, right? But you can play borderline aggressive and even use your flash offensively for Flash Flame to hook, because you always have Fate's Call to drag you out. It's better used as a re-engage tool.
Mickey taking a little bit of time, dishing out a little bit of damage. Just this leap to safety on the ward in the end. It's slow, it's steady. Misfits not able to get any greater advantage just yet.
We've seen a fair amount of action from both these teams, though, and I feel like they're eager. The nerves have now brushed off both teams. They're feeling a lot more confident, especially with Misfits now actually sitting at a gold advantage, something that I feel they haven't been used to throughout this series. They do have vision priority around the Baron right now. Could Trashy fall for the trap?
Nope.
Missed the hook, but it's the setup. Misfits happy to dance around the Baron, hoping to bait in the members of Splyce.
But they only need to do this for a few minutes more, because once we hit like 28, 29, 30 minutes in a game, Mickey gets caught.
Oh, not where he wants to be. Unbreakable comes out, but he is very breakable in the end. Redemption comes in, heals up the members, and Misfits just ready to keep on fighting. Oh, charm onto Ignar, not a good start to the fight. Hook goes in anyway, forces the flash out defensively, and Ignar still lives.
Yeah, because Fate's Call is always available. He has a trust in Hansama, having heal and Fate's Call. As a Thresh player, you put the life in your AD carry's hands, and they keep on baiting.
They do, but now Splyce, they feel that the Baron is being started. They have no vision, but they've spotted Power of Evil off.
What is it going to go for?
They know he could just be peeling.
Moving back, trying to knock PoE in. Wonder not going to be what he wanted whatsoever. He's going to get taken down. Top laner out of the picture.
Yeah, even if you spot Power of Evil, it looks like he's just the kind of the bodyguard of the Baron being done with the Kalista, and it's so hard for them to play against this, because it's never a 50-50. Now Ignar probably getting target here. Cacao could drop.
Needs 4 for us if he wants to make it to safety, or a Thresh Lantern. Nice save from Ignar.
But still, Misfits, yeah, maybe they should just start these Barons off, get Alphari in there, because with Kalista, it's never a 50-50.
Yeah, you have to remember those Ren stacks really add a lot of value when it comes to taking down these Barons, and with Misfits consistently winning out on these fights, maybe you need to take that risk. Maybe you need to move towards that Baron and say, look, Splyce, we're now challenging you. We feel confident enough that we will win out on a fight, secure that objective, and be in a prime position to bring us to a game 4.
But this is a weakness we've seen before. Too slow.
I mean, what they're doing right now is not bad, though. It's not too slow. Like, we have to, be it's an option, because obviously if you're going to bunch up against Braum, Ahri, and Kennen, and Graves, that's a recipe to throw the game. We need to evaluate if they keep going back to this baiting thing. It's just what we were bringing up here. Because you never know. It's always results-based, right? If they face check, you're a genius. If they don't, you're wasting time.
And in this situation, this is just Wonder, again, failing to get the ultimate off that he ideally wants. This game has not been his best.
It's really hard to land that one.
It is very difficult, especially with the delay that has been added. But at the end of the day, it does result in him giving away his life. No Baron going in the favor of Misfits. They do maintain onto this gold lead. And now, again, we have to come back to these lane assignments. We talked a lot about them, how Hansama consistently being moved up to the top side of the map with Alphari's ultimate unavailable. Misfits likely going to be a little bit reserved and trying to force anything happen for the time being. But with it coming up relatively shortly, I'm expecting to see Misfits try and force another play.
So much of the Misfits gold is in Hansama right now. Really have to take care to protect this guy. He's got 3 items completed, working towards the 4th, 2 sources of lifesteal, and a way to save himself from the CC, as well as a way to save Ignar. Everything's set up around the Misfits bot lane.
Yeah, it's all about hard engage here for Splyce. Like, Mickey either has to buy a lot of time in the fights. Wunder has to constantly play hide and seek with Alphari, because he can't let him go out with a blind ulti, because then it's just an engage. Every time Alphari disappears, Wunder has to try and chase him, because there's only like 3-4 seconds, and then Shen could be anywhere on the map.
As we take a chance to look at the gold difference. Last one, so very clearly in favor of Splyce, but this game very back and forth thus far.
They're pinging a Blast Cone. If they have a control ward in the pit, they can actually, they're going to clear pit, and they may actually go for a Blast Cone Baron here if you're Misfits. Wonderful addition. Especially when Scuttlecrab is on, it's a genius way to secure Barons, especially with Kalista.
They have to make sure that they push out mid lane first. The standard rule when it comes to Baron is always make sure you have priority over mid lane. And as the enemy team is catching this wave, that is your opportunity to either get some deep vision in or go for that neutral objective.
Ender being, taking big risks there. Doesn't get hit by the hook in the end. Another 10 range may just have gotten it. Cow leaps to the ward. Maybe being a little bit too cheeky. Doesn't have a chance to grab the lantern, but is safe for now. Hook lands onto Mickey. Where's the fight? Misfits trying to zone out. Hansama healthy and alive in the back line, but Samix, Senkooks rather, may just get taken down. Kabi goes in, and there's no damage onto the cannon. He can start to rip through some of the front line. Is it going to be enough, however? Hansama alive and well, leaping forward. Cacao now on a rampage. Misfits in absolute control of the fight, and Splyce can just not catch a break.
This Syndra pick is just completely dominating the fight. Senkooks has no place in this team fight. He goes in, gets popped to 10% from a single button, and then Kalista Thresh is just giving you so much to seize. Ignar's Thresh is dominating the later stages of this fight.
Ignar's Thresh and Hansama's Kalista, now legendary as they set their sights on the Baron. There's no chance to steal it away. Trashy cannot outsmite the Rend. And Splyce just going to back off, just going to give this one away. And for once in this series, it is Misfits in control of the game.
And we have to backtrack to how this all came to be, because remember, it is Splyce that have consistently dominated the early game. They did it in this game too, but then one bad fight down in the bottom lane was enough of a momentum swing to give Misfits the advantage.
Ignar blows flash, makes it out in the end. High risk play, no
execution
there.
That's cheeky. That's actually... It's still 45 seconds though. And Trash is dropping. Yeah, this is Splyce yielding. They're bending the knee right now. Because you saw it was a great fight. You have Wunder buying time. You had Senkooks already had the ability to go in for a Charm Punish. Yes, he's going down, guys. And then nothing happened because the 3-man knockup from Ignar was just so massive.
One of the things you have to bear in mind when it comes to Ahri is that for her to get in melee range, you have to also be in range of Syndra's ultimate. So watch Senkooks as he comes into this fight. He lands his abilities, but then so does Power of Evil, and he's always going to win out on that trade because of his ultimate. And the fact that Senkooks is already taken out of this fight, it becomes a 5 versus 4 right from the get-go.
Yeah, but it's also worth noting that he doesn't go close enough to proc his own exhaust. So, I'm not sure if I 100% agree. Like, I get it, you know, if Syndra's not paying attention in your Senkooks, you win that trade, but you always got to get close enough to pop exhaust, because otherwise, you will always just get a bad trade there.
Has the cleanse as well, so it's just so high risk. Ignar taking some risks of his own. See, this is the classic note button. Before the days of Tom Kench, just good old-fashioned ultimates to stop the fights.
And this is why when you and I play bot lane, Dracos, I will not play Thresh Kalista, because if I was to get hit by a charm, would you save me?
No. I wouldn't even pair with you. Pair with the top laner. Throw the Shen in there.
This guy's tanks.
I'll concede lane off the get-go. For now, though, Misfits doing the best they can to create a larger advantage with this Baron, but nothing really has come up yet. They are in the lead in terms of gold. 4K in their favor, but the Dragons not rolling well for them, and no towers really breaking down quite yet.
Yeah, but Splyce, it's so hard to find even theoretically a way back in, because gold gives you some indication, and then there's 4,000 on Misfits, but it seems like they have just a really great way to set up the fights. It's all on whether they can one-shot Power of Evil, but if he has both summoners up consistently, he should always to take somebody in the grave with him, and at least Splyce would just too few damage dealers, I feel, consistently putting out damage in the fight against this much CC.
You also have to wonder the threat of Hansama at this point as well. 8-0-6 has had a phenomenal game. His positioning has been on point in every single fight that they've been involved in. And sure, if you invest all your resources into killing Power, who then deals with Hans?
I've actually had the joy of playing this exact lane with Hansama, and he's just a very intuitive Kalista player, which means just always does kind of the right thing, which is really hard because it's a mechanically proficient champion, but he's really easy to follow thought process-wise, which makes it very easy for Ignar to then just play with this much confidence, right? Because you always have faith in this guy saving you at the right time.
Ooh, gonna have to hold on there, though. Fight looks like it may start. Splyce burning a few cooldowns, but not gonna find the engage that they want. Do burn the TP from Wonder, though, in that exchange, and now Alphari uncontested on the top side of the map. That is bad news for the side of Splyce.
Yeah, they're trying to attack the Shen here, but attacking Shen in the late game is just going to cost you so much time. Look at the pings, bottom lane. Misfits looking for inhib, and Mickey and Kobe, I don't even think they'll even kill him.
Frozen Mallet, slow but surely they can chase him down. Has taken their sweet time, but how much have they wasted? Alphari now running for his life, maybe looking for the blast cone. Doesn't look like he's going to make it out, or will he? Still has the flash as well. Does drop. But what does it mean? Misfits in the meantime get some tower damage, but nothing else.
Splyce successfully cleared a wave.
Yeah, Misfits, bear in mind, they moved towards the bottom lane, but Power of Evil, because he took an alternative path, he picked up the middle wave earlier on, and then they just run it down mid. They knew that Splyce had to go and clear that bottom half of the map, so that gave a window for them to at least get a tower and an Ocean Drake as well.
But if you see how long it took them to take down Shen, and that was because he's just so well, like, he's not even itemizing pure armor either. Like, he's just this weird hybrid, and this AD cannon just can't deal with it.
Of course he can. Look at this Blade of the Rune King, Runan's Frozen Mallet. This is not a Caitlyn. This is not a Jinx. This is not late game scaling. This is dueling. Maybe you can fight the squishier members, but it just takes so much time to kill anyone else. And it starts to look pretty grim for the side of Splyce. They don't really have a scaling advantage in their favor. We talked about it at the start of the game. The Kennen, the Ahri, these are the mid-game champions, and Syndra continues to be scary, continues to be lethal, and even if Kalista is a mid-game champion, still matches up well against the Kennen.
But on the bright side, this is what the viewers wanted. We wanted a close series. We wanted both these teams going neck and neck, and while yes, early game advantage still was in control of Splyce, we're seeing a better Misfits. We're seeing a more controlled Misfits. And all we want to see now is a Misfits properly use their lead and close out the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think the only way right now for Splyce to fight back is to actually utilize Mickey and his shield to deny the ultimate from Power of Evil. That is one of the usages of Braum that was historically very potent, where you force projectiles to land on you and not your team, and then you can enable. So Mickey actually needs to pair with Senkux on the engages, leaving only Wunder to play solo frontline because he needs to deny Power of Evil's spheres flying at Senkux's head. That is kind of the only way, and that's maybe a reason why they picked Braum, because it's good into Syndra that way. But I would have much rather seen a ranged poke support like the Karma or the Fiddlesticks this game, because you could definitely see the lack of pressure in the bottom lane. Not proficient enough on his AD Cannon Braum combination just yet.
And the fights have been so scattered, and so often they start with either Mickey or Ignar being the ones to get caught out, so he is not in the place where he can block out the unleashed power from Power of Evil. Splyce really going to have to out-execute here if they want to get anything. It's going to be a tough position to be in because Misfits continue to control the map, continue to control the vision.
So now with the Baron spawning relatively soon, Misfits, they're investing their vision towards the top half of Splyce's jungle. They want to make sure that if Splyce want to try and contest, then they will be face-checking blind. Very standard play so far from Misfits, a matter of whether or not they can properly execute. It's just a matter of time now for Misfits.
And the crowd goes mild, because we've been waiting on our last kill for...
Patiently
waiting for this game to explode.
16 kills is a fair amount from Misfits, to be fair.
Yeah, but they've all been like in rapid succession.
They have.
And now, like, it's like watching a really good movie, and now we're watching the sequel. Just not too much is going on anymore.
What are you talking about, Mitch? The Matrix Reloaded was all action all the time. And it's definitely worse than the original.
There was a Matrix sequel? Hang on, Mickey.
Going forward, Kakao, ult's going to be used out. Blocking a lot of the damage there. Kakao isolated on the side. He does have the GA, but it's thrashing on the front lines. Has he risked too much? Kabi stunning up, buying time. Senkux still alive, leaping out to safety, but Hansama dishing out the damage.
Oh, solo Kakao!
Oh, move forward. Kakao wants Senkux. Heal comes out. Kakao a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, left, right. Nope, he just flashes out. Oh, 2 GAs barely being popped right there. Both Alphari and Kakao survive with a sliver of health. That fights started really well. Shields up for Splyce right there on the Mickey.
And that's exactly what we wanted to see from Mickey. Blocking out a lot of the initial damage coming in. Senkux manages to make it out thanks to the support of the team.
But this is also very good for Splyce in terms of map control because they were able to push out mid. They can catch that big wave that was on the bottom. Wonder can now reclaim control of a bot, and they can clear out some of this vision over the top half of their map.
If Misfits are super cheeky, they could have actually like ran 3-man Baron there from behind, but they need to know how the vision's like. Look at maybe Mickey soaking. Passive from Braum is really good in slow team fights. The Senki is going in, going to exhaust Power Evil and then get out. Just block a little bit of damage before Pee-wee cleanses it immediately.
Not quite where he wanted to be, and we look at this, just such a good Lantern coming in to save Alfari.
That's a Baron, by the way. 3K gonna get popped there. That's a free Nasher.
Down. Too easy. Misfits take another one. Keep your eyes on the fight to come. Can Splyce turn this back? It's a lot of damage onto Trashy. Kakao just playing sidestep, ducking in and out. Ignar throwing in the hook. Does connect on the Senkox. They want to start it. In comes the chain CC. Out goes Ignar. In goes Ignar. Trashy set to fall, but he's not going to pull the trigger. The Ren not coming out. Not available. Hook goes wide. Kabi on the side. He's going to get taken down. No hope for the Kennen. And Splyce, it's starting to look grim.
Misfits, they just go for the Baron. They make the fight happen. And with the kill advantage and a big wave in mid, they're looking to break the base of Splyce.
Yeah, but again, it's Ignar so crucial in these fights. It looked like somebody was juking him, but he wasn't aiming for you, buddy. He was aiming for Senkox. Finds him in the back of the fight. It eventually leaves Kobe stranded.
Oh.
We have a little bit of a pause. We'll get you guys notified as soon as we know what's going on. What issue was potentially at play here. Hopefully nothing too serious.
However, in the meantime, we take a chance, look back on what has unfolded in the series thus far. Games 1 and Games 2. I feel like we're finally seeing Splyce start to come back into form. Now, Game 3, it's not quite as clean, and Misfits are starting to fire back, but still, big improvements coming into Splyce in this series.
I've been very excited with what we've been seeing more from Misfits. The fact that we had a Kalista Thresh bottom lane when they were backed into a corner, relying on their individual prowess, the mechanical skill, and playing the lane so well, getting themselves a 2 versus 2 kill as well, just demonstrates the growth that we have seen from the bottom lane of this Misfits squad. Going from a challenger team with a lot of hype behind this bottom lane too, into starting off the split to a bit of a shaky start, not entirely sure where they rank among the other 80 carries, now becoming a very strong bottom lane here in Europe.
Yeah, strong laning. Their setup definitely helped them. I've always been a fan of watching Ignar play. We had to see how he could translate it right on the stage because he was known for like roaming Proto Belt Alistar. And while that's a fantastic thing, that's not something that's going to cut it in the LCS. But he's definitely shown, especially on Thresh, that he can have great presence in the lane. It just Misfits as a team, their issues stem from mid-game shot calling where the team needs to communicate better. But individually, they have some pretty strong players.
Well, as an update, ladies and gentlemen, we do have knowledge on the issue now. Kabi has reported some FPS issues. We'll be working on a fix immediately. However, in the meantime, I want to take a chance to look back on that previous fight. All too deciding in this series thus far.
Mm-hmm. We'll eventually get that.
Well, coming shortly. But in the meantime,
shortly.
So we talked about looking out for the Braum. We talked about looking out for a lot of the elements here. Do Splyce just need to back off when it comes to these Barons next time, or can they afford to try to force the fight?
I mean, let's have a look. Well, Baron's gone, so we have to hold that question, though. I think you need to contest. Kakao was stuck in a pit, so they funnel in to look at Ignar. Trashy sidestep, but he gets Senkox. And then he gets a double flare, so that's such a valuable play, because that leaves Kakao just soaking up Kobe's damage. He flashed out, and then PoE with a beautiful follow. I think there's just not enough damage anymore on the side of Splyce. Unless they really catch somebody out and they utilize the chain CC train to really put somebody low, if Senkox ever gets CC'd or Kobe in a fight, it's over for them.
But I also feel we're seeing how well Misfits are playing into this Ahri pick in particular. The fact that Ahri naturally isn't that great in team fighting. She excels much better on a side lane or in skirmishes. The fact that every single time Senkox is trying to find an opportunity, either Ignar or Power of Evil is stopping him immediately. There was even a fight where he was able to get the exhaust down onto Power of Evil, but the damage had already been done. He threw out his entire combo to close the gap, get an exhaust, get back out again. And Senkox really has not been involved in the vast majority of these fights.
And it's such a shift because we saw Senkox, I feel like ascending, like God mode on Syndra in some of those early games. And now it's not working out as well for the team. They don't really have the late game insurance on him. They needed more of the kind of the mid-game playmaking aspect, but it just wasn't there. There were so many close, contentious team fights where you could argue the Ahri might be stronger than the Syndra in some of those circumstances, but it just didn't show through.
Not a fan of the Ahri personally, but that's too soon to judge. Maybe Splyce just have more success with it past. There were a couple of nice moves, I think, early on that we can definitely highlight from Splyce. You had the Wonders of the world who would roam down into the mid lane, connect Charm into Body Slam. A couple of plays that if Wunder lands the cask just slightly differently, you know, the game snowballs for Splyce. So I think it's just one of those days where if you play this game a few times in a row with this draft, you could see varying results.
Oh, for sure. I think that the draft itself wasn't necessarily the issue here for Splyce, but let's see if their draft can hold it as we jump back into game.
Absolutely. Remember, Game 3, Misfits have the lead. They're looking to take it to a Game 4, but they haven't won yet, and Splyce still very well could close out the series. With what you see on your screen, things are looking quite grim. Inhib Tower set to fall.
Yeah, things to track here. All flashes are available, except for Senkooks, who has his shortly. It'll be the next push that decides it. And that's generally a full summoner play, where you have to be careful, because PoE, falling victim to a body slam flash engage, can net you with 0 damage in team fight, and that's enough for Splyce to then pull through.
Splyce doing their best, holding on to what they can. Super Minions is going to start flowing into the bottom side of the map. We'll set up the push, and Baron's still active on the side of Misfits.
Yeah, 4-item spike here for the Kennen 2 with the Runons.
I think you mean the Infinity Edge.
The Infinity Edge, they moved. I was going to say the Runons Infinity Edge combo, rather.
There you go.
He can actually add up quite a bit of damage in fights if he's left kind of alone for a while.
Speaking of damage in fights, 5 or 6-item build now completed for Hansamer as well. Extended his score line, or actually maintaining it 8-0 and 6. But now the reason why Splyce have to contest this Elder Dragon is because look at all these Drakes sitting in the mid's open right now.
They should just. They're actually going to contest this. They want to force a fight. They do not want to get pushed in pressure here. Misfits, can they have the patience that Splyce at game 1?
5K getting lower. Fate's call comes out. Kakao goes over the wall. Where is he? He's going to go in. No, doesn't get it. Trashy. Redemption for him as he manages to get the smite out, and the fight continues to roll. Copy getting the stun on the side. Kakao in trouble. He's going to get taken down. It's a steady fight.
That's 1 GA popped in the pit. Kakao left behind. Kingdom wants to save him, but he drops. The patience was not there for Misfits. They went in for the steal, and they lose the fight.
Not where they wanted to be. Another pause. Cuts the action short. Once again, we will keep you updated.
I mean, that gives us plenty of time to potentially look at that fight multiple times because a lot was going on.
Yeah, but remember that this is exactly the same situation that Misfits were in when Splyce in Game 2 had taken 2 of their inhibitors down. They were in a great position to just buy time. They just knew that the Super Minions would just slowly work their way into the base. And in this instance, Misfits said, no, if we can get ourselves that Elder Drake, we're actually in a great position because we have all these 4 Drakes under our belt. But they should have just conceded it. They should have just been more patient.
Well, in the meantime, folks, as an update, we have the client restart coming in from the side of Trashy. We'll get you back in the game shortly.
Who really needs FPS?
The first one was FPS. This one was a client. I mean, you got to keep up.
Oh, right. Okay, got it.
Things, though, I mean, this Trashy holding on for the team, and Elder Dragon going to be a way to buy time, at least.
We also saw a change in approach here when Splyce are the ones defending. Thank you. That's a great point, but I'm not finished quite yet. But I do appreciate it. No, we obviously have the Splyce guys on screen here. The Gragas ultimate was used defensively in the last fight, where Wunder was peeling and Kakao overreached. So if they can force anybody to overstep their bounds, that's a good way to win these fights.
You can see maybe a little more than client restart. We'll keep you guys updated as we move forward. But looking at the way this game has unfolded, there's a lot of odds.
Yeah, and Trashy stretching his legs right now. Obviously a really bad jungler. Not a fan of his playstyle. I think his early game is atrocious. Oh, he has his headset off. Never mind, guys. Great jungler.
Smited an Elder Dragon, though. You got it.
Big fan. No, obviously, let's not mess with him too much. They're still in the game mindset.
There's our wonderful audience. Wonder's family in the front. Potentially someone else's family in the back.
A lot of family. That guy is here as well.
That guy, great.
Big fan.
Huge fan.
Love that guy. But as you guys rightly said, Splyce, getting this Elder Dragon could be a big deal. They are 9,000 gold behind. They are still down 2 inhibitors. But with a kill down onto Kakao with 55 seconds on the death timer, could actually buy them a lot of time.
Potentially an option, but just an update, ladies and gentlemen, we do have 2 computer resets on the side of Trashy and Cobby. So getting new systems in for these guys. And Senkooks taking a nap.
No. There's actually a cool discussion point. Like, sadly, these pauses, we do not want them to happen. But when it is, some different players keep their energy up. Like, some players get really active to not, like, kind of lose the game flow. Other players kind of go full zen, right? Because they just want to keep their mind on the game. They're thinking about, okay, where are we in the game? How far are we in? What's next? Where are the lanes at? Because you're sitting in a paused state. and you're losing some of that recent information. Like, imagine if you played a game and somebody flashes. You have an idea how long it was ago that this guy flashed, right? When you're playing the game. Add a pause in the middle of it, that makes it slightly more difficult. So these guys are just trying to concentrate as best as they can to go into the next phase of the game with as much information still in their brain.
Or he's just having a nap.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, that's very true. That's very true. In these tense situations, it's important to stay focused on the game at hand. And I think that they have enough experience under their belt to be able to maintain composure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely so. It's unfortunate. Splyce, especially at this moment, they were fighting their way back in. They stalled. They still have 2 inhibs down, but they found a new way to approach their team fights as well. Braum in the front, buying a lot of time. Then the Gragas looking for disengage with the ultimate. Definitely ways to maybe look at right now. As you go late game, it's much harder for champions to simply one-shot you as you get more and more MR. Maybe the peel and kite strategy is what they want to go for.
We'll have to see how they're going to adapt it. Well, as league officials are swapping out a few PCs on stage, let's send it to the analyst desk for a look at the game so far.
Thank you very much, Drakus. Whew, we needed a breather, so unfortunately that means you guys are stuck with us. Do you guys want to talk about everything we had prepared, or do you want to vamp about the fact that Splyce just got that Elder Drake and they're seemingly back in the game? You get to choose. It's multiple choice.
So they're not back in the game.
Okay, good. Then we talk about what we
They're
have
still
prepared.
9K gold down. They have no Drakes with the Elder.
I mean, I just wanted to get that out of the way.
No problem.
So now we can go into our other analysis. So you guys wanted to look at picks and bans, and you guys were talking a lot about the fact, you know, we want them to pick more winning lanes for the side of Misfits, things that work better for them. And when you see Power of Evil getting his hands on Syndra, then you know that something's going to happen.
Did we say that? Did we say Power of Evil should take that, Syndra? Max, did you say that?
I think we did.
I think we did.
I think we did.
Yeah.
I think it's working pretty well.
Yeah.
Because suddenly now they have actually pressure mid lane. They didn't pick a fighting bot lane.
Really?
And they're actually fighting.
No way!
All right, now I know you guys are kind of laughing here, but this is a very serious matter because Misfits were on the brink of being defeated by Splyce going into this game 3. So the good picks, but what else did they make happen for them with those picks? It's harder when you have to do actual analysis.
No, sorry. I was hoping he was going to take it.
I was saying that I can say so. Basically, this game was bot lane snowballing. The Thresh Kalista really worked for Hansama and Ignar. They got a duo kill against Mickey X, and the Thresh pick also opens up for Ignar to roam. And he is someone I like to call a really roaming support because he can make picks across the map. When he played Nautilus before, even as support, he just walked into enemy jungle, lit it up, and they were able to play really well and force just everywhere. They were able to play aggressive, and it was really nice to see from Misfits.
And let's compare Game 1 draft to this one, where they also had early pick Shen. Game 1, they took the Braum, got completely pushed in the bottom lane, lost the bot lane tower, could never actually use the Shen ulti down to the bottom lane. This game, they drafted Thresh, and they actually had a lane that wanted to 2v2 fight. They could play aggressive with Shen ulti as well. Combine that with the Syndra, which is why we talked about it, who can actually roam down to the bottom lane as well, even in case there's a big fight. And suddenly, Hansama and Ignar can play super aggressive, much like we used to see in the first few weeks of the EU LCS. And Hansama now is sitting 8-0, if I remember 100% correctly.
And 0-1-15 for Ignar.
Yeah, again, Ignar's been part of everything. Hansama is like full item build. I think the cannon is on 3 items. Like, there's just such a massive difference.
And it's a cannon.
And it's a teamfight cannon, which doesn't really work. Just pointing that out. Like, in every teamfight we have seen, cannon has been completely useless. And I think cannon was a takeaway. Like, that's how I see it. I think cannon was a takeaway because they didn't want to play against cannon Shen with Syndra mid.
Yeah.
But Max Slow was more like blah, 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 cannon something. And then we moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to cut you guys off because we can get back into the game. And that's what we want. The players are ready to get back into that game. Drakus, back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Shocks. I'm eager. I'm ready. It is time to get...
Hello, Eager. I'm Dad. Yeah, one guy. Yes. One guy. Thank you for saying that.
If it's that, I'm going to be disappointed if it's that guy.
It's that guy.
It can't be that guy. Way
No.
too cool to laugh at the dad joke. All right. We are very close to getting back into the game. As mentioned, 2 computers were swapped out, Cobby and Trashy. Hopefully the issues have now been resolved and we'll get to continue. And remember, things are grim. However...
If you're a Splyce fan.
If you're a Splyce fan,
No
things are
bias
grim.
here. If you're a Misfits fan,
Things
things
are good.
are pretty bright.
They are indeed.
Apparently we have some Misfits fans in the audience. I don't know what that's. I heard your name. Presumably positive. All right. Well, we look at it.
Let's hope so. Cripple, you suck. Okay, whoa.
All right. Game is now resuming.
Yeah, we're just waiting. Obviously, because once the PCs are on, we're double-checking everything. We should be going into game very soon. Oh, that's the logo. That's the game.
All right. Remember, Splyce get the Elder Dragon, but they have no Drakes. How much does this mean? And Misfits continue to hold on to the gold lead.
Well, let's look at how the fight kicked off beforehand, because Misfits, their priority was actually going for the steal rather than being able to get for the fight. They were so afraid of the Mickey disengage ultimate that things could have really gone horribly wrong for them. So they just go with the Shen plus Rengar combo, but that's really where they get split up.
Yeah, I just had my eyes on Wunder the entire fight. He put a barrel on Power of Evil just to slow him down, to not allow him into the fight. Then Mickey popped the shield. Then once Mickey's shield was down, he popped the barrel, and then he used his ultimate to disengage. So Splyce are much more so in a peeling mindset, and it got them a lot more value out of their team comp. Maybe that's where they're looking next, especially since they've burned through 1 GA right now.
It is a potential option. We've seen Splyce be an insanely dominant team-fighting team in the past. Maybe they can just out-execute the opposition when it comes to these clutch moments.
Because if we look back, like, how has PoE found value in all out of these team fights? It has been Senkix going in on him. It's been Kobe approaching him. But what if everybody walks back outside of the QE combo from Power of Evil and they shift their focus on the front line? Wunder tries to soak as much as he can, and this Braum shield can do maximum value in terms of like redirecting skill shots.
The problem you're going to have now for Splyce, though, is sure, you can stall for a little while, you can hold on to your base and wait for these inhibitors to respawn, but how can you win these fights in the future? Because you still need to be able to kill Hans Summer, you need to be able to take down Power of Evil, and they too can play in a very similar slow, just kill the frontline style, when you have so much mobility in the form of a Kalista.
And they have much more gold here. We see the Banshees as well picked up by Ignore. He really wants to play at the front line, get punished for one hook if it misses with the shield, and then get punished for the next one, potentially dodge that punish with Fate's Call. And then he still has Flash.
Remember that there are also 2 still exposed inhibitors with super minions walking their way into the base of Splyce, which means that Splyce, they're just keeping this minion wave pushed, and they're very swiftly keeping pressure up onto the top side of the map. They want to start working their way on towards this final tier 3 tower that stands in their way, and the Nexus to bring us to a game 4.
As we move forward, I think the thing we have to consider, gentlemen, soul scaling for Ignore.
Oh, yeah.
Just keeps going up.
Late game Thresh, baby.
Late game.
You think you're playing gold values at one point, everybody has 6 items? Not Thresh. He always has more.
You think Nasus, you think Vygar? No, folks. Stop it.
76 souls picked up, wailing in that little lantern of his. Just waiting to be freed. What seems to be eternity in this very long game, with a couple pauses in between. Fatigue could be kicking in. We're in game 3 of a best of 5, and that's something that we also have to consider. If Misfits win here, Splyce have much more experience as a team in best of 3 and 5 scenarios, because they went through playoffs, they played at Worlds. See, they didn't make it to the best of 5 stage there, but they still know how to deal with it.
Yeah, they've been there. They've been back to the wall even, promotion tournament. They know what it feels like to be down and out, and they're not down and out now. They know what it feels like to take down the opposition. We saw that against H2K in the 5-game series, and that's somewhere Misfits just aren't as comfortable. And
bear in mind, the only real playoff experience that Misfits had was from Challenger, and they demolished Challenger. They didn't even drop a game throughout. I mean, they dropped 1 game during the regular season, but other than that, they were consistently dominant. So they don't have quite the same level of experience when it comes to this point in the.
They still played promotion tournament themselves, so that's like the one saving grace. But it's quite a while ago. Need to see if this long series plays into the fatigue.
Well, fatigue may continue to get worse as we do have a pause coming in from Wunder once again. We will update you on the issue, rather Kabe having the issue.
Yeah.
See how this develops as we move forward. Krepa, we've talked about it a little bit already, but some players you said are active, some players chill. At this point, when it's 3 pauses in a row, how do you keep focused on this game?
So back in my very young days, we still were music loud, so I would tab out and go on Spotify, play some Nickelback, you know, the usual.
Ooh, good choice.
Wow.
I've actually played many a LCS while listening to Nickelback, because like the sheer hatred keeps you alive, keeps you on your toes. You can't get into the jam, right? Because no. But you still want a little bit of background music. Sadly, these players have to play with white noise, which is almost as enjoyable as Nickelback. Just this constant shh in your headset. But that no longer works. There's like 2 songs installed in these computers by default. The Bob Akery one.
Oh, yep. And was it Ninja Fish? What's the other one? The generic Windows one?
Yep.
2 songs, ladies and gentlemen. Which will they pick?
I don't think they can pick anything. They're not allowed to tab out. This is the new era. No more fancy shenanigans tabbing out. But hey, hopefully issue is resolved. We're going back into game. Let's see if it stays that way.
Well, whether new or old, League of Legends still on the menu.
Now, we are starting to see the slow decision-making process that are Misfits mid to late game.
I mean,
it is difficult.
they've only played the game for 2 minutes.
No, but I mean, if we think like the last 10 minutes, right? They recently got themselves a Baron, and then off the back of that Baron, they got themselves 2 inhibitors, and then they ended up losing an Elder Drake off the back of that, and they couldn't close out the game. So their next big objective will be this Baron. They have been able to take a lot of control over the top side of the jungle, very similar to how they played last time.
Oh,
and that's a lot of ultimates used.
Yeah, that's not kiting. That's the opposite of kiting, I would say. It's obviously because there's side lane pressure from the Shen. Splyce say, you know what, we can't deal with split. We're just going to brute force our way in somewhere.
Trying to find an opening, trying to find an opportunity. It's Wonder with the dead man's plate, poking at the walls. Looking for a way into Misfits. Leap forward, Ignar, Fate's called out. The cow isolated, Wonder trying to go in, Ignar now all alone. The team taking the time, they're hesitating, they're not sure where to go, they're split up, Wonder's all alone. He's going to take a bit of damage.
It's this Alfari on the side.
Have to be careful, in comes the Shen'Al, Ignar on the front line trying to get a little something down, but that's a massive ult from the cannon. Not a lot of damage, but a lot of CC Power of Evil waiting over the wall. What is he going to do? Does connect the stun, the long range onto Wonder, but no one has dropped yet. However, health bars clearly in favor of Misfits. In goes Cacao. Senkux pulls back. Can he connect the bola? Can he find the snare? No, backs off to safety.
Oh, that was actually a really fun fight to watch on multiple fronts. You could really see the changes in decision-making from Splyce throughout that fight, but they leave it too low. And now they're starting Nashor, but Wonder once more, he comes in with the teleport. Splyce are not done giving up.
They are not giving up this Baron. They know the game is over if they do. Wonder buying time, hoping to keep the ball rolling. Does not manage to make it up. Hook! No, he makes it over the wall. So close. Baron aggroed, but
don't
no one
do that
hit.
versus a Thresh. That is just not Ignar's Thresh. Maybe my like that is just quite cocky. Wonder could have thrown the game right there.
But he didn't, and that's the important thing. Splyce, they still have the opportunity to fight around the Baron area. Misfits, they're lying in wait. But the hook is yet to land. You can feel the tension between the two teams. Keep your eyes on the lanes as well. Bot is pushing in favor of Misfits. Top pushing in favor of Splyce. Misfits feel like with the positioning right now, they're still pretty keen to make their way towards the Baron.
Now moving in. Kabi gets to back, Senka gets to back.
Nobody has wards anymore. Both side stones are empty. It's really hard to play this because we see full vision, but these guys are constantly moving in and out of Fog of War here. Dangerously face-checking. Mickey is hoping for a window where he can go get 4 more wards while Ignar stays on the map here. That is a tempo swing here. And look, Shen has to go to top lane. That fight, man. Like Wonder in and out. And then at one point, it's that shield from Braum that came up and suddenly it looked good for Splyce. Then Trashy ended up in front of the shield. It's like, oh, I'm not going to get any projectiles blocked this way. He flashed behind Braum. Kobe bought so much time with the ulti, but Misfits, they were just stacking up spears on everyone. Kalista was so close to getting like a triple reset right there. PoE stunned. Just shy of nailing anybody in the face.
And Alfari too in that fight. He didn't use his ultimate preemptively. He actually just walked from bottom lane into the mid lane, and he just zoned off so many members. But here comes the Rengar ult.
Ignar hook goes wide. Ultimate used. Ignar potentially caught out. Fate's call. Cacao looking for a way onto the backside. Ultimate up and available from Alfari. Ignar taking a lot of poke here. Nothing got back.
A single hook is landing here. Ignar now under pressure here. They're going in.
Alone. Out comes the redemption. In comes the Shen ult as well. Splyce don't have the damage to take anybody down, but Cacao does. He leaps into the backside, tries to get something. Kabi's still alive. No! Gets dropped. Now it's running for their lives. Splyce are in trouble. Misfits looking to bring it back. PoE not going to get taken down in the end. He's still up. He's still alive.
Hasama popping off. He can clean up right now. They did not get to the key targets on Misfits, and Misfits are looking to get 1 game in this series.
Ooh, the cleanup coming in. Wonder just trying to buy a bit of time, but keep your eyes on the mid lane. It's not about Wonder. It's about Hansama pushing in and looking for more.
Misfits, they just want to try and end the game right now. They have 2 pushing lanes in the mid, in the bot. 3 members are dead with 30+ second death timers. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to game 4.
Moving in, looking for more. Can they take down the base? It looks like it. Trashy not going to have a whole lot of say in this. Ignar maybe hoping to catch out a flash, but at the end of the day, with their backs against the wall, Misfits find confidence. They find strength in the bottom lane, and here they will find game 3 in the series.
Man, what a game from Misfits. It was still rough in the early game, But on sheer laning prowess in the bot lane, they fight their way out. Hansama did not die a single time in this entire game.
Really good positioning from him. And I feel like both AD carries really have been stepping up throughout this series. Kobe, he couldn't quite have the same sort of impact that he has had in the first 2 games. But in return, we get to see some excellent plays from the bottom lane of Hansama and Ignar. And I really think it's worth highlighting how great Ignar was on this Thresh.
Consistently a massive factor in starting those fights and kind of playing on the edge of insanity there so many times, but the Kalista makes it
if you have Fate Skull, you're not on the edge of insanity. You're in the edge of comfort. That is what you want as a Thresh player, because that's why Thresh is not picked that often, because when you stand there and you miss and you're like, oh, damn it, everybody's going to kill me.
Would anyone like to hit a skill shot on me while I stand still?
You're essentially CC yourself. It is still really fun to see Hansama pop off, but I'm worried if he goes into the Kalista is OP, I'm going to win this series with Kalista trend, and then he plays into a range support where he just gets pushed in, poked down, loses a lot of CS. We could see Misfits falter in Game 4, and I would very much so like us to go to a Game 5, because that would be hella exciting.
But I also think that while the bottom lane was super important for Misfits, we have to come back to the Syndra pick, because it was a large part as to why Misfits won so many of those fights, and it gave them a lot more control during the early to mid portions of the game.
It absolutely did. Well, Misfits found their way to victory here in Game 3. Shocks, take
it away!
Shocks confirmed the guy.
Hey guys. All right, cool. Yeah, we're gonna take a look, I think, straight off the bat at some Hansama big plays. Hansama and Ignar, as we talked before about the fact that they determined a lot in this game, and just in general, it was all about those power picks in some areas for them, even though Kakao was on the Rengar that we didn't have that much praise for. All the other lanes were doing quite well.
Yeah, exactly, and this is the first time they actually had some early pressure, which is really, really important, and they can play super aggressive 2v2 bottom lane right here, get even a kill for Hansama. That was kind of the start. Big fight happening as well on the bottom side that they actually win, because Singux also gets cordial.
Yeah, it was a really good taunt by Alphari, and the fact that only their support died, their mid laner died there, they were able to turn because of the Kalista and Shen combo, and the Rengar, the AoE inside the Shen taunt and stuff was really good. But really, this game was just about Hansama snowballing. Even though Splyce managed to get the kill on the Ahri in mid lane really early on the game, it just felt like Syndra was just way more useful as a champion. It just fitted Power of Evil more. It gave Misfits more of a win condition, and they just had more winning lanes in the mid late.
Yeah, it's also like his favorite champion by far. He is. It's kind of like not a pocket pick because a lot of people play it, but Power of Evil on Syndra is just extraordinary.
It's obviously the fact that he's really good on it, but so is Senkuk, so it's also a takeaway. And Power of Evil didn't have a good answer to the enemy Syndra, so it just made it even worse. So by him actually getting it, it was a lot of pluses for Misfits, but obviously also Ignar. I mean, we talk about Hansama, we say he's getting fed. Ignar was just setting up everything in this game here, and this is why this guy is on the All-Pro team, and why people actually voted him in as one of the best supports in Europe. A lot of this is what we saw in the first... Yeah, plug right there. It's on all Esports. You know, get in there, check the votes. But how they played in the bottom lane, again, as we said during the break, this is like how they played the first 5 or 6 weeks when they were winning and winning and winning. They were actually making these mega aggressive plays and getting kills. And
this is the cool thing about kind of the microcosm of a best of 5, the fact that going into Game 4, Splyce now has to come up with some answers because, you know, beforehand they banned out jungle picks, for instance, for Kakao, but now they might be thinking, oh, do we then ban out the Thresh or the Kalista, or that's where everything comes into play. So my question for you guys is, how viable is the strategy you saw from Misfits in this game specifically? How durable is it, and how can they do it again and maybe win the next game in the next 2, Maxlor?
I think as long as Orianna is banned, Syndra is going to be a really high priority pick for both teams because it allows bot lane to play more aggressive if you have mid pressure. It gives you a lot of freedom as a jungler as well. And also mid game, like even in these team fights, Ahri would jump in, Syndra would press R, she would have to jump out immediately. Syndra still has so many more abilities to do more damage to everyone else in the team. The problem with Splyce's comp here is they had Kennen and Ahri and Gragas, who, like, no one has the identity of just being mid lane. So it was really tough for them in the mid game. But for sure, Syndra is the pick to watch for the series.
And then also because Thresh Kalista were winning the bottom lane, Kennen's role as an AD carry is again to take over a side lane in the mid to late game. When he falls behind, which he did in this game, he's not going to split push because he can't, because Kalista's up there and will just kill him. So Kennen doesn't have anywhere to go. He doesn't have anywhere to shine because he can't teamfight as well as all the AD carries, and that really made Copy useless in this game. A lot of it came down to his pick, but I 100% agree that Syndra is key. Splyce will probably pick red side in this game, which is what every team has done so far in this series. And that means if Misfits doesn't first pick it, or Splyce maybe bans it, I actually think that's a possibility, then we might not see any Syndra plays in here. Because either it's first picked by Power Vivo, or Syndra is going to take it, or Splyce will ban it.
Yeah, and as we roll out, let's take a look at one of the final fights, or the final fight in which we show obviously that the cannon didn't have the impact we would want. I feel like this is still a bit closer than you would like hope or expect as your Misfits, but they do play it out wonderfully.
Yes, just, sorry. It's all the tanks in the front. Max, take it, man.
So really, this fight was just Power Vivo, Kakao, like everyone except Hansama just doing a lot of work and blowing one guy up. And then as the fight progresses, the Kalista gets really like a lot more useful at cleaning up, damaging everyone. At the start of the fight, she was only damaging the Gragas, which an A06 Kalista really doesn't want to do, but she was forced to. Once the teammates were lower in numbers, she came in, cleaned up, and it was a really easy fight for Misfits.
All right, as we go into Game 4, let's look at what each team should build on a positive note. Like we talked a lot about, obviously these picks are working. The Syndra must pick, or if it's available, which it probably won't be, that is something Power Vivo can build on. If we look at the side of Splyce, what is something that they can build on? Wonder, even in this game, even in this losing game, he had a tremendous influence. So do you put all your marbles there, or what would you do?
I mean, it's great that Splyce can rely on Wonder, even when they don't necessarily play around him, because they keep giving him Gragas against Shen, which is a winning matchup for Wonder, and he's getting towers, you know, he's roaming to mid lane. He's having a fantastic series so far, so that's good they can rely on it. For me, bot lane and mid lane are where you put your focus now, because your bot lane drafted Braum. Misfits tried to do that earlier. They lost lane, now you lost lane as well, and it cost you with this cannon. This Braum cannon thing these teams have been doing has not been effective. I want to see both bot lanes draft purely for lane here and see who can get the advantage, because we know then it's going to be super explosive, and I think that's the best way for Misfits as well to play this game, is get Ignore and Hansama going.
All right, Max, what do you think going into Game 4?
Who's going to win?
What would you like to see from Splyce and Misfits?
I'd like to see either a new answer to Syndra, because it's obviously a bit boring.
It's not going to be available.
Just seeing Syndra just picked and just stomp every game. Yeah, either ban, and so the mid lane meta will be a bit more interesting.
Splyce is on red side for next game.
Yeah, Splyce on red side, then they're either going to look to ban it or pray that Misfits don't first pick it, but I think they should.
Yeah.
So Syndra I want taken out. Just as Deficio said, I want to see explosive bot lane, 2v2, range supports just going ham, and just seeing which team can execute their win conditions better. When
Splyce was red side game 2, they banned Orianna, Graves, Lee Sin. I think you keep the Lee Sin ban. I think you ban Orianna. And I think actually you replace Graves with Syndra here. And you give the Graves over to Kakao. Yes, it might be a little bit risky, but I think getting Power Vivo like really off any comfort pick, so he might not have a whole lot of control mid, is probably more impactful for Splyce than playing against or risking playing against the Graves.
I think just the biggest problem with playing against the Graves right now is, say if you don't have mid pressure or your mid laner loses a trade, for example, Graves can just walk mid, press Q on the wave, auto attack the wave, and then suddenly your mid laner has the first reset. He's going to have the pressure first, and he's just going to win the match. After the base, he's just going to push the wave, get vision, and it's just going to be a more controlled game with Graves right there.
I guess then we might actually see Graves and Syndra being left open, both of them, and it becomes a trade. If you take the Syndra, you give Graves over to Trashy, or the other way around.
We can keep talking about it forever.
There's a lot of things
we'll
that can happen.
To see. We'll have to see. You guys still confident in your predictions? You said 3-1 Splyce. You said 3-2 Splyce. I mean, looks about right.
I mean, 3-1, 3-2, same thing.
No, it's not.
Same thing, everyone. Same thing.
Tweet at RiotOfficial if you think it's the same thing or not, or if he's just doing a cop-out. We'll see.
Click that follow button.
Can the Misfits step up once again and take this to Game 5? We will find out after the break.
Graves, down goes the exhaust. Power Vivo in trouble now. Charm goes wide. Moving for a little bit more. Power Vivo goes forward. In comes the Shen. All these ticking. But Power Vivo is still alive. Where is Shen? Got canceled. One more. Jasper's blood. Ari is here. Where is the Spear Rush? Leaps forward, tries to get the damage down. Sencux maybe take it down, though. Good turn coming in from Misfits. Ooh, Sencux rather may just get taken down. Kavi goes in, and there's no damage onto the cannon. He can start to rip through some of the front line. Isn't going to be enough, however. Hansama alive and well. Leaping forward. Kakao now on a rampage. Misfits in absolute control of the fight, and Splyce can just not catch a break. Now it's running for their lives. Splyce are in trouble. Misfits looking to bring it back. PoE not going to get taken down in the end. He's still up. He's still alive.
Hansama popping off. He can clean up right now. They did not get to the key targets on Misfits, and Misfits are looking to get one game in this series.
Here they will find game 3 in the series.